Speaking Volumes is proud to present the unabridged recording of The Collection, Volume 2, by Bentley Little.
Monteith. How well can one person really know another? It's a question that has been asked often and one that has been addressed by numerous writers over the years. This is my take on it as a child of the suburbs, someone who grew up in the 1960s when husbands went off to work each morning and wives stayed home. Monteith. Andrew stared at the word, wondering what it meant. It was written in his wife's hand on a piece of her personalized stationery, penned with a calligraphic neatness in what looked to be the precise center of the page. There was only the one word, and Andrew sat at the kitchen table, paper in hand, trying to decipher its meaning. Was it the name of a lover? A lawyer? A friend? A coworker? Was it a note? A reminder? A wish? Monteith. He had missed it totally on his first trip through the kitchen, had simply placed his briefcase on the table and hurried to the bathroom. Coming back to pick up his briefcase afterward, he'd seen the note but had not given it any thought, his brain automatically categorizing it as a telephone doodle or something equally meaningless. But the preciseness of the lettering and the deliberate positioning of the word on the page somehow caught his eye, and he found himself sitting down to examine the note. Monteith. He stared at the sheet of stationery. The word bothered him, disturbed him in a way he could not quite understand. He had never read it before, had never heard Barbara utter it in his presence. It set off no subconscious alarms of recognition, but those two syllables and the aura of sophisticated superiority that their union generated in his mind made him uneasy. Monteith. Did Barbara have a lover? Was she having an affair? That was the big worry. And for the first time he found himself wishing that he had not gotten sick that afternoon, had not taken off early from work, had not come home while Barbara was out. He stood up, hating himself for his suspicions but unable to make them go away, and walked across the kitchen to the telephone nook in the wall next to the door. He picked up the phone, took the address book out from underneath and began scanning the pages. There was no Monteith listed under the M's. So he went through the entire alphabet, the entire book, to see if Monteith was a first rather than a last name. But again, he had no luck. Of course not, he reasoned. If Monteith was her lover, she would not write down his name, address, and phone number where it might be stumbled across. She'd hide it, put it someplace secret. Her diary. He closed the address book and stood there for a moment, unmoving. It was a big step he was contemplating. His jealous imagination and unfounded paranoia was about to lead him into an invasion of his wife's privacy. He was about to break a trust that had existed between them for 15 years on the basis of what? Nothing. A single ambiguous word. Monteith. He looked back at the table, at the sheet of stationery on top of it. Monteith. The word gnawed at him, echoed in his head, though he had not yet spoken it aloud. He was still thinking, had not really decided what to do, when his feet carried him into the living room, through the living room, into the hall, down the hall, into the bedroom. The decision had been made, and he strode across the beige carpet and opened the single drawer of the nightstand on Barbara's side of the bed, taking out the small pink diary. He felt only a momentary twinge of conscience, then opened the book to the first page. It was blank. He turned to the next page. Blank. The next, blank. He flipped quickly through the pages, saw only blankness, only white. Then something caught his eye. He stopped, turned the pages back. In the middle of the middle page, written in Barbara's neatest hand, was a single two-syllable word. Monteith. He slammed the book shut and threw it back in the drawer. He breathed deeply, filled with anger and an undefinable, unreasonable feeling that was not unlike dread. She was having an affair. Monteith was her lover. He thought of confronting her with his suspicions, asking her about Monteith, who he was, where she'd met him. But he could not, after all the discussion, after all the arguments, admit to snooping. After all he had said over the years, he could not afford even the appearance of invading her privacy. He could not admit to knowing anything,